Most people have a story of going from rags to riches. I had the opposite story. I went from riches to rags overnight. I used to work in my family business. I built that business with God's help from $8 million a year to $30 million a year. For personal reasons, I had to leave the family business. Every year, Rabbi Raskin from Montreal would visit me in my office, in my family's office, and he would ask me to pledge a certain amount of money to tzedakah. And he would increase it a few $1,000s every year, but nothing crazy. The last year that he left my office, he had pledged me before Rosh Hashanah for $18,000 for the rest of the year. And to be honest with you, it didn't pinch, because that's what I owed at that time for tzedakah. That was my synagogue, and that's what I was going to do. After I left my family business, the rabbi came to my office, and when he walked in the door, his face was white. He was used to seeing me in a beautiful mahogany office with a beautiful view at the command of 40 people running a $30 million empire. And here he finds me in my desk, alone, in a $10 folding chair, on one of those cheap white Walmart desks. And he sits down in the folding chair, he puts l'chaim on the seat, on the table, and he says to me, I know you're going through a hard time. I know it's difficult. And that's why this year I'm not going to ask you for $18,000. This year, I'm going to ask you for $36,000. The first emotion that came over me was such anger. How could he ask me for such a thing? What a chutzpah. Doesn't he know that my shviger, my mother-in-law, was just in town, and while she was in town, I couldn't afford to pay the electricity bill, and my shviger sat on Shabbos in the dark. And here he is asking me for $36,000. And then something came over me, and I remembered all the things that I had learned over the years about giving tzedakah. Ubachanunina bazos, testing Hashem with charity, testing Hashem with tzedakah. And I sobered up. And I came out of this trance that I was in. And the rabbi was sitting in front of me, and one word left my mouth. With one tear coming down my cheek, I said to Rabbi Raskin, okay. I told him, it's not my problem. It's not my issue. This is God's problem now. I will put my blood, my sweat, and my tears into my business, but you told me that God tests me with tzedakah, and if you're saying that that's true, then this must be true, because if this isn't true, then none of it's true. So I pledge you your $36,000. That year, with Hashem's help, with blood, sweat, and tears, and siyata d'shemaya, I fulfilled every single penny of that $36,000 pledge. And the year after that, I doubled it. And the year after that, I doubled it. And the year after that, I doubled it again. Each person in this room right now has that ability to raise your hand. And you might say, I'm not a rich person. I'm barely putting food on my table. And maybe the reason you're barely getting by is because you're not being a good business partner for Hashem. Maybe Hashem is waiting for you to raise your hand and say, I am ready to become wealthy. I will be a good steward of your money. Scare yourself, test yourself. Be bold, be big, be brave. And watch Hashem repay you.